Compass for Success is a sophisticated education software solution developed to bring relevant and timely data to teachers and administrators to guide their work and improve student outcomes. Every day, educators across the country are using Compass for Success for its rich and interactive approach in building informed practices that ensure greater accountability to the Board Improvement Plan for student achievement. This demonstration will outline how the solution is used by multiple groups and show how the integrated data model supports their various needs. Fiona has been teaching grade 4 for 3 years now and loves her job. When she's not grading spelling tests, she's coaching the girls' volleyball team. She has high standards for herself for the lessons that she delivers every day and appreciates how much time Compass for Success saves her. The teacher portal is her go-to destination for all student-related data. Within one portal, Fiona can see all achievement and report card data, individual education plans, and large-scale assessments. She also uses the portal to communicate with parents and sign off on report cards. Fiona starts each day by going into the teacher portal to review her grade 4 class. Out of the library of visualizations, she has configured her dashboard to show her the information that she is interested in. The report card chart is the data for her class for the final report card at the end of grade 3. She uses this to understand the achievement levels last year and strives to move students up a level this year. Fiona knows that part of doing well in school is just showing up, so she monitors absences and lates quite closely. She also knows that developing proper learning skills early on pays off significantly in later grades. She reviews the learning skills graph frequently in order to determine where her time is best spent. This graph tells her that there are 9 students that need to improve their independent work learning skill, so she'll focus on that over the next week. In the last graph, she can see the results for her grade 4 class in the grade 3 EQO test. Only the grade 3 data is displayed because her students haven't written the grade 6 exam, but if Fiona were teaching grade 7 or 8, she would be able to see the results from both exams as well. Fiona uses the Classes section to see the details for each student. In the first screen, she can see all of the relevant information on one screen. The color coding of red indicates that the student's mark has gone down, green that the grade has improved, and gray that the mark has stayed the same. In her grade 4 class, both Anjali and Vanessa have been flagged as at risk. Fiona can drill down and see all of the marks for Anjali along with the in-school support resources. Fiona has been working closely with the student success staff in the school and can see their notes on what they've been working on with Anjali. Fiona has also been working closely with Anjali's parents and can see the prior emails that she has sent them. She's also invited Anjali's parents to use the parent portal so that they can collaborate on Anjali together. If there were any formal interventions that were in place for Anjali, then Fiona would see them here. In the at-risk section within student monitoring, Fiona can see the at-risk details for Anjali and Vanessa. Fiona can see that the 2 girls have been identified as being at risk for literacy and numeracy, respectively. This is a quick overview of how Fiona uses the Encompass portal on a daily basis, but there are other individuals within the school board that use it as well. Robina works for a very small school board, and she is the research department. She is passionate about data and enjoys having factual conversations with teachers and students. When she visits schools within her board, it isn't uncommon to find her chatting with students about the latest hockey trade and if a player is overvalued, or the probability of the student's favorite soccer team winning the World Cup. Since the board is small and has limited resources, Robina has to be cognizant about where she spends her time. Her goal is to identify the strategies that are going to have the largest impact on student success. One of the tools Robina uses to support her analysis is Watson Analytics. Watson Analytics takes an unbiased approach to analyzing data directly from the Compass for Success data warehouse. It automatically identifies the underlying relationships and runs each scenario through a series of statistical tests to ensure that the predictions are significant. When Robina navigates to her dataset, she is immediately presented with various starting points. She can also pose a question to Watson Analytics in plain English. Since she's interested in graduation rates, she types in, "What drives graduated?" Robina is presented with a visualization that looks like a bullseye and clicks on it. This visualization is called a spiral graph. The way it works is that the dotted lines spiral inwards towards the center. The closer a data item is to the center, the more significant it is. The furthest out points include school name, whether or not a student was enrolled in grade 4, how old they were in the second year of high school, their exceptionality, First Nation status, number of years with the school board prior to grade 9, and the number of times they were late in grade 7. As the spiral moves closer to the center, the more significant drivers like grade 10 OSSLT standardized exam results are displayed. This basically means that if Watson Analytics knows the OSSLT results, it can predict with 83% confidence whether or not a student will graduate. It is also worth noting that Watson Analytics is always suggesting other insights that are relevant within the current context. Robina sees that it is suggesting a predictive decision tree for further analysis. The decision rules outline in plain English the rules for who is likely to graduate. On the flip side, she can change the target category from yes to no to see which students did not graduate. Looking at the three scenarios, Robina notes that the students that are not graduating are scoring poorly on the EQAO OSSLT standardized test and had high rates of days late and absent in grade 4. Robina also sees the flow in a decision tree, where blue represents the students that did not graduate and green representing those that did. Robina also uses the Watson Analytics Expert Storybook for Graduation Cohort Analysis from Compass for Success. This storybook contains the dashboards and predictive drivers to accelerate her analysis and help communicate the results to principals and other educators. Upon opening the storybook, Robina is presented with the analytics that are available to her. Jumping into the graduation dashboard, she can see the trending visualizations for what the graduation trend has been for the past few years. This first dashboard displays the individual graduation rates for the high schools within her school board. The Demographics tab displays the breakdown by gender and by exceptionality. In a quick analysis, it can be seen that in the first cohort that there were more students that did not graduate than those that did. However, the following 2 years saw more students with an exceptionality graduate than those that did not. This is a promising trend. The heat map displays the correlation between high school graduation and the number of years with the school board prior to grade 9. The darker the color, the more students that graduated for the respective data point. This visualization is telling us that the longer a student remains in a school board, the greater the chance of graduating. The Drivers and Predictions tab illustrate the predictive models that Watson Analytics built. These are similar to the other ones that Robina built manually. The next series of analytics looks at graduation rates without factoring in high school data. This means that Watson Analytics can look to prior cohorts and understand what the drivers are within the elementary data sets. At a school board level, the analysis can be run to predict which students may struggle in graduating before they even start high school. The data is telling us that when looking at elementary school data only, the graduation drivers are the number of years with the school board prior to grade 9 and the number of times late in grade 4. These are very useful data points for Robina when considering what interventions to implement. The last set of visualizations in the storybook deal with post-secondary applications. The first visualization illustrates the post-secondary institutions that students within the board apply to. This is useful for understanding the overall trend. When Robina drills into the details, she can cross-reference the post-secondary institutions with the high school student applied from. The heat map outlines this relationship with the darker the color representing more applications. This visualization is powerful in understanding where students are applying, but may also provide insight into the types of programs they're interested in. Knowing that a high proportion of students in secondary school 3 are applying to Georgian College may show that there is an interest in the automotive program and may help shape the type of curriculum being implemented at the school. As a researcher, Watson Analytics called out the significance of grade 10 OSSLT standardized test results and the early indicators of grade 4 attendance. Robina is now in a position to take action on this information back in the teacher portal. Robina has a similar view of the portal as Fiona, but she can see schools within the entire board. Based on her findings from Watson Analytics, she's going to create a tracking group which can be used to monitor grade 4 students with a high number of days late. Clicking on Student Tracker, she's presented with a screen to create automatic and manual groups. Since Robina wants to create a dynamic list based on student attributes, she'll create an automatic group. The criteria is all elementary schools, grade 4 students, the entire school year, and students that have more than 10 absenteeisms. In the list generated, Robina makes note that there are 27 students that match this criteria. Clicking Continue, she'll name the group Attendance Grade 4. Provide a description. Provide a start date of February 1st of this year. This will be run at a board level and will be made public so that everyone can access it. Now, any other educator using the portal is going to be able to use this tracking group for monitoring students. We'll see this firsthand how Fiona's principal, Paul, uses the tracking group in his analysis. Paul started teaching at the secondary school level, but quickly found his calling as an elementary school principal. He's considered an analytics maven within the school board and is always sharing how he's using data to improve student performance with the superintendent and fellow principals. Similar to Fiona, he uses the Encompass portal on a daily basis for monitoring students and even creates his own alerts to be notified when student performance starts to slip. He's grateful for the time he gets back every semester now that he can use Compass for Success to review and sign off report cards. In addition to the pre-built dashboards, Paul likes to jump right into the data and uncover the story that the data is trying to tell. Built into the portal is the Report Writer module, which allows Paul to analyze the data. By simply clicking the Create Dashboard link, he gets a new dashboard. He is immediately presented with a dashboard template along with a data model to use. For this dashboard, Paul is going to analyze how attendance has been trending over the past few years. He starts by dragging the days absent measure into the drop zone. Paul likes the dashboarding tool because it automatically creates the appropriate visualization for him. He doesn't have to be a report developer to visualize the data. Next, he adds year-month to see the breakdown over time. Since he'd like to see some of the indicators as to whether or not students were excused for their attendance, he'll add an indicator into the report. Since there are multiple data points, a multi-line chart was automatically selected. This visualization is good, but Paul prefers the smooth area chart better. He can simply click the Change Visualization button and choose the visualization he wants. He'll also change the label to Days Absent. This visualization will be the basis for the Times Late view as well, so he'll make a copy of it. He'll change the label to Times Late and update the measure accordingly. Since Paul is only plotting one data point, he'll change the visualization to be a line chart. Taking a look at the big picture, Paul can see the overall trend for the past 2 school years. There are also late and absent ranges that Paul wants to see in this dashboard. These visualizations count the number of students that fall into the specific band, that is, 0 days late or absent, 1 to 5 days, 6 to 10 days, etc. The final data point that Paul wants to see is the reason why students are absent, so he'll add the reason description to the dashboard. He'll make a little more space by resizing the trending visualizations and drag over reason code and attendance students. It's easier to view the data in a bar graph sorted in descending order, so Paul will make those changes too. Currently the dashboard is a static snapshot, so Paul will make it interactive by adding filter options of school year and school. Now when he selects a school or school year, the entire dashboard is filtered accordingly. This allows him to see the details for the context selected. Finally, he'll name this tab Summary. Now that Paul has the dashboard he wants, he can enhance it further by leveraging the work that Robina was doing earlier. Paul will go back to the data model and add the tracking group onto the dashboard. Since Paul wants to see the tracking group applied to all schools, he'll deselect School 10. Similarly, he'll select the Attendance Grade 4 tracking group. The dashboard is now filtered down to the 27 students that Robina identified in the tracking group. Paul wants to view the details for his school, so he'll simply select School 7. He'll also go ahead and choose the current school year. There are two observations that Paul makes on this screen. The first is that the days absent has steadily increased since the start of the school year, and the second is that the attendance reason captured is NA. This means that school administration has to accurately code the attendance reason in order to have better insight into this behavior. To recap, we saw how Fiona uses the Encompass portal to track and monitor her students on a daily basis. Rabina was able to identify early predictors of graduation that included grade 4 attendance. She was able to create a tracking group that Fiona and Paul could both use. Paul was able to analyze the attendance trends by building his own dashboard and filtering it down to the students identified in the tracking group. Fiona, Rabina, and Paul worked together to identify a problem and take early action. It wasn't a huge change, but the intent behind this small nudge in behavior is to have a positive impact on graduation rates several years into the future.